Hi, in the previous lessons, we have learned about if else, if else if. Then we learned about conditional operator, also called ternary operator. Then we have learned about the switch statement. So those are all conditional statements, meaning if some condition is true, we want to execute some part of code. If condition is false, we want to execute different set of statements. So that is about conditional statements. But there will raise scenarios where we want to run or we want to perform a task repeatedly until some condition is met. For example, consider you went to a casino or gambling house. As long as you are willing to play, as long as you have money, you should be allowed to play. Or consider a different scenario. You went to ATM. As long as you have balance in the bank account, you should be able to withdraw money, right? So consider the same example, ATM withdrawal. You go to ATM, you withdraw money. If you remember, at the end, most of the ATMs will ask you, do you want to make another transaction? If you press yes, it has to execute the same set of steps or the same task again, that is making a withdrawal or depositing a money. So always there will be scenarios where you need to execute a particular task repeatedly as long as some condition is true. Let's take a very simple example in this case. I have a variable I equal to 0. I want to print the current value of I, then I will increment it. I will do the same thing as long as I is less than or equal to 10. Okay, not 0. If I is less than or equal to 10, I will do the same thing, same step. I print its current value and I will increment it. So if I run this program, what happens? I is 0, right? So it says current value is 0, then I is incremented. Then it says current value is 1, again it is incremented. Then current value is 2, again incremented, and so on. I have to write this block of code which is performing this particular task, which is the task printing the current value of I and incrementing the value of I, so that there will be a new value for I. So this task I have to execute as long as I is less than or equal to 10. So how can we write this one in Java? So instead of copy pasting this block, ideally that is never an option. You can't do that for 100 times, 200 times. If you need to print the same thing or do a task for 200 times, or as long as some condition is met. Okay, so we want to execute this block of code as long as I is less than or equal to 2. Or another way of saying, I want to execute this block of code repeatedly while I is less than or equal to 10, or until I is less than or equal to 10. In Java, we have a keyword while. Okay, it will take a Boolean value. Okay, if you see here, illegal start of expression. Okay, that's how it compiles. That's how it complains, but it is expecting a Boolean value. Let's write a relation operation. I less than or equal to 10. So that is our condition, right? When I is less than or equal to 10, we want to print its current value, then increment it. So let's execute this once and see what happens. Yeah, very good, right? This is what is happening. As long as I is less than or equal to 10, it is going to execute this block of code very repeatedly. It has no other job. It will check how it is getting executed. Let's see. First I is initiated to 0, so value of I is 0. While this condition is true, it will execute this block. So first time when it checks for this condition, I less than or equal to 10. Other way of saying, now currently I is 0, 0 less than or equal to 10, true. Go ahead and execute this block. When this block is executed, the value of I is becoming 1. So next time it checks 1 is less than or equal to 10, true. So go ahead and execute the block. By the end of the execution of this block, again I value will be 2. Again it will check 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yes, so go ahead and execute the block. So it will go on executing this block. So when finally I becomes 10, it checks 10 less than or equal to 10. Yes, true. So go ahead and execute the block. When the block execution completes this time, I value is 11. So 11 less than or equal to 10, false. So the first time the condition becomes false, the while loop is terminated. I repeat this statement again because it is very important. The first time the while condition or the expression in the while condition is false, the while loop will terminate. So we need to make sure there is a condition or there is a termination for while loop. In this case, if we don't increment the I inside or if we decrement it, so this is never going to be greater than 10, right? So in that case, it will never terminate and it will run into a infinite loop. Okay, shall we see that? I mean, if we decrement it instead of increasing, so I value is going to be from 0, it is going backwards like -1, -2. So this will go into a infinite loop. Let's check that. If you see, this is going on executing because that condition is not becoming false yet. Okay, I'm stopping it. Okay, so we need to make sure there is a terminating condition for the while loop. Okay, what else we need to know? Okay, the while is very simple. While will execute a block while some condition is true, and we need to make sure this is always a boolean expression and it should evaluate to either true or false. As long as it evaluates to true, it goes and execute this block. The block should have a mechanism to terminate the while loop. That is all about while loop. It is a very simple concept. The concept we need to understand, but where it is applied is when we need to execute a task repeatedly. For example, let's take another example because we need to understand when the while is helpful. For example, we want to print first 100 prime numbers. So I will start from 1, I will check till 100. So for every number I will check whether it is a prime number or not, and I will print it whether it is prime number or not. Okay, that's how while loop can be used. Go from 1 to 100. So we will initiate I to 0 while I is less than or equal to 100. For each number we will check whether that number is a prime number or not. So that is a very good example. I have already given another example, like as long as you have money, you should be allowed to make a transaction. Yeah, those are very good examples of while loop. In the next lesson, we are going to look at for loop. Before that, we are going to look at do while loop. Then we will look at for loop. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and share it with others.